Hey, gaming family, it's Sega Man back with another throwback video. Now, I want you guys to sit back and relax, and we're going to do another old school OG throwback video of a game system that I have. You kind of still hear it being talked about, kind of. If you go on Facebook, a lot of these OG systems have groups on there that I'm a part of. And you can show off your games you have and the system it is that group is pertained to. So I'm going to give you a little bit of knowledge and history of this handheld. Now, I think back in the day, I can't remember. I don't think it did as well as, let's say, the Sega Game Gear or the regular Game Boy. I think it kind of did at first, but there's one thing that I'm going to tell you about this system that you might not have known about. I have actually two versions of this handheld system. It's actually a pretty good system, and I think this company was kind of ahead of their time when it came to making a handheld system. Okay, so let's just get right into the video. I hope you guys enjoy the video of this throwback OG retro gaming video of a system that I own, and I want to give you a little bit of knowledge on it. So, what I'm actually talking about, guys, I have two of these. So, I'm actually going to show you the first one of this video game system, and I'm going to show you the games for it, okay? But a little bit of history. You guys remember old school? You guys remember the Game Gear, right? The game, well, uh-oh. Well, I think I might need to charge my Game Gear. Oh no, or I might need to actually put some new batteries in there. But some people, yeah, some people known, it's. I need to put new batteries in there. Some people known the Game Gear as the very first, actually really cool backlit screen. Right? I have to put batteries in there, guys. Sorry, my batteries are ran out in the in the Game Gear. But uh, you remember the backlit screen, okay? And this actually was cool because it was color and it had a backlit screen. It was considered the first system that had the backlit screen, and it was better to play on a Game Gear, in my opinion, than playing on a Game Boy because you had to actually have it up to the light to play it because it didn't have a background light. That did not come in until later, I think, in one of the systems that they had. Was it? Is it the Game Boy? No, maybe I don't know if it was any of the Game Boy Colors or Pockets. I can't quite remember. But this was the first system so called that had the backlight. Or is it? Well, I got news for some of you guys that might not have known this. The Game Gear was actually not the first system to have a backlit screen. The first system to actually have a backlit screen, and this is the Model 1 of it, was called, and some of you guys might not know about this little handheld system, is by Atari, and it's called the Atari Lynx. Now, this is the first model. Yeah, it's pretty big. If you look at the Atari Lynx and you look at the Game Gear, right? Look at the size difference in comparison of the Game Gear and the Atari Lynx. Atari Lynx is way bigger. But let's actually put a game in. What was neat about this system is I think they were trying to be very inventive kind of in how they made an Atari handheld, the Atari Lynx, okay? And the Atari Lynx was actually the very first backlit handheld system. And there's another version which I own that too. And they both have on here is where on the side here is where you would put the game in, right? And it also had a head jack and a coaxial and a power for for a power pack. Now, a buddy of mine actually gave me this. He didn't have any games for it, and he gave it to me. He just didn't want any more. He gave it to me. So this actually was gifted to me for free from my friend, you know. But later on, I acquired the Model 2 version, and we will go through that. But first, let's try out the original Atari Lynx. And as you can see, and we'll get into this too. These are the games for the Atari Lynx. As you can see, they were flat, right? Now, I don't think Atari Lynx was the first system concept that came out with the games like this. I believe it was the Sega Master System that had the flat, kind of like, slim card games that you slip in, like in the Sega Master System, uh, the first one, which is the one I have. I have both the Sega Master System 2 and 1. And you can actually slip the games in because they had regular cartridge games and it had flat card games like this that you can put in and play also. So it was two ways to play their games on the Master System. Anyways, this is where the game goes on this model of the Atari Lynx. So you just put the game in here. If I do it right, see if I'm doing this right. You see it goes in that way. You push it in and turn it on. So I don't have to do my magic on this one. This is called Exobot. Very loud. Now you're not going to be able to really see the intro of the game, but it had a lit screen, and let's see if I can adjust it some. That's the volume. The volume is actually surprisingly good on this for us to be an old handheld system. But the brightness is right here, so I lowered the brightness. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on my lab my laptop. You might be able to see the game a little bit. I lowered the brightness on there. Now you might be able to see it just a little bit. I don't want to play with it too much, but it had a nice backlit screen. You see the game there a little bit. You see the game there a little bit, right? So this was actually the first handheld system to actually have a backlight. It wasn't the Sega Game Gear. It was actually the Atari Lynx. Now, I like this version of the Atari Lynx. I think it's pretty cool. Yes, it is. It's pretty big for your hands. It's pretty big. Another thing, it didn't have the back panels when he gave it to me. It didn't have where the battery covers. I could probably get those somewhere in the future if I want to, but I'm not really worried about it right now. But it's very loud. It has a very good speaker on it still for it to be as old as it is, and the screen is still perfectly, actually pretty darn good. Now, if I wanted to, I can get this refurbished, but I choose not to. I choose to leave it in the original entirety of how it is, being worn down because it was being played by a true gamer. So that is the first Atari Lynx. Okay, and now if I'm correct on this, I can't remember the exact date. I'll have to figure it out when the Atari Lynx came out. But these are like some of the games that also came out for it. But also, you can also play and flip the screen on this. If you push the flip button down here, okay, you can actually play some of the games where you have to hold it this way and play it. Not this way like you would normally think you would play a handheld, right? Gamers. But there were games where you had a twist where you can actually play it horizontally. Different types of games and different things like that, which was pretty decent and pretty cool. I think it was just trying to be more inventive with their handheld system, right? So this bad boy is pretty awesome. Now we're going to talk about also. This is the now this is the model I own and bought a long time ago for a really fair and good price. Now the price of these systems today, I believe they're actually more now, way more, like over $100. Some of them go for $200. It depends on where you get it, like eBay or something like that. These were also made in Taiwan, and I was trying to see the year. But what's really cool about these Sega, I mean not the Sega, but the Lynx, still has the serial numbers on it. But the model system too, which I'm going to show you right now, is a little bit more sleek and not as big and as the first model. Now this is the Atari Lynx. 2, I guess. Atari Lynx 2. See? Now, if you look at the Atari Lynx Model 2, and then we have the Atari Lynx Model 1, it's it is smaller. Okay, I think the screen might be a little better on this Model 2. But let's see, is it still bigger than the Game Gear? Or is they about the same? So if you look at the Game Gear against the Atari Lynx 2, I would say it's maybe a tad bit bigger, thicker on the sides it is than the Sega Game Gear. But it's around the size of the Sega Game Gear. But what's really cool about this also is it has nice grips on the back for your hands like this that feel very good when you're playing this system. You know what I mean? Um, and I like the artwork, the art and style that they made on here, which says Lynx and Atari. You know what I mean? And you can also play games on this also horizontal, just like the other Atari Lynx that I showed you. So let's put in a game. This is actually Pit Fighter, an old school classic game. Uh-oh. Did I take the batteries? I think I took the batteries out of this one. Let me see. Or they could be worn out. Let me see. Hold on, guys. Because I actually want to show this to you with it on. So what I might do is pause this. Let me make sure everything's right on here. Yeah, I think the batteries are ran out. So real quick, guys, I'm going to pause this and I'll be back. I'm going to put some batteries in this so you can see the lighting also in the Atari Lynx 2. 1 second, guys. I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back and I put some fresh new batteries in the Atari Lynx 2. So let's get on and go ahead on with the video. So when I turn this on, I put Pit Fighter in here. Let me see if I have to adjust the screen. Now, the thing about, in my opinion, about the Atari Lynx Volume 2, you have to actually, if you hold it up like this and you're playing, you do have to actually probably adjust the backlight, which is gets pretty bright, you know, very bright. So let me see if I can adjust this a little bit to let you guys see if you can see it. But as you see, you can see Pit Fighter somewhat. The volume on this one, I think it's a little bit more. It's not as loud as the first one. It seems like they might have cheapened out a little bit on the speaker that they put in this Atari Lynx 2. The oops, I messed that up. I actually touched the give me a second. There we go. I actually touched the top of the game. That's another thing. You got to watch out for that too when you're with these systems. But it sounds like the sound of the Atari Lynx Volume 2 is a little bit more generic, but it's still good. It still has a great screen that you can see when you're actually playing this or holding it in your hands. Like I said, you have to adjust it to the way you want it, you know, and different things like that. And like I said, you can flip it. I don't know if you can flip this one. I don't think you can flip. I don't think you can flip this one. Okay, but it's still a good handheld system. It was built, I think, a little better to fit your hands and different things like that. And a lot of people actually are a little bit more attracted to probably this handheld more than the first one. You know what I mean? The only thing about these systems, okay, is that they take 6 AA batteries, which is that's a lot of batteries, you know. And they had a lot of great games for us. So let's look at a couple. We got Pit Fighter right here that I have for it. Exobot. This is another one for the Atari Lynx. Pretty cool the way they designed the game. We have what is this one here? Checker. I think it's Checkered Flag. It's another one. It's a racing game that was for it. California Games for it. That's 100's favorite game. And we have also Cyberball. We got Cyberball, another sweet game. Some of the artworks actually made on here were actually pretty cool and pretty good. We got Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, another game that was on there. We have Crystal Mines 2. This is actually a pretty decent game. Pretty addictive game too. And like I said, the artwork on these games were, they were kind of cool. The way they did the artwork. We also have an old classic called APB on the Atari Lynx. And my favorite, which is a shoot 'em up called Gates of Zion Khan or Zinder Khan. Now, this is a handheld version of this game, but this game was also on the Atari Jaguar, and that game goes for around 200 bucks in the box, or even more. This one probably goes for about 80 to $90. It came out in 1989. So the Atari Lynx actually, I believe, I can't remember when the Game Gear came out. I think Game Gear came out later. So actually, it was the very first handheld with a backlit screen, which was the Atari Lynx. This game came out in 1989. I don't believe the Game Gear was out then. It might have been. I'm going to have to do my research on that. But I do know that it is the very first backlit screen with color for a handheld system. And they're great systems to collect for. If you want to become a collector of vintage handheld systems, I would highly recommend an Atari Lynx if you could find in a decent shape. If you find it where it doesn't have the battery backs or anything like that, like I said, this one here is in the back right here where you can put the game. It has the same thing like the other one, auxiliary, headphone jacks at the top and everything else. But the games you can put it on the side on the first one. So they were a little bit more inventive with the first Atari Lynx, I would say. This one, they cut it down to size and made it a little different. It's actually a little cool, more cooler looking to me. But I still like the first one. I like the concept of it. I still like it, even though it's a bit behemoth of a handheld. But it's still a great system. So if you want to collect for these, maybe try looking for this one. It might be a little cheaper and in your price range. Now this one might be more. Depends. Because it is the first Atari Lynx. So this one actually might be more than the second one, or it might be less. You have to do your homework. But they had great games for it. So I hope you guys really enjoyed. And there's the Game Gear again. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video back down memory lane of the Atari Lynx. You learn something new every day, right? So, I mean, the Atari Lynx, like I said, was the very first handheld with a backlit screen color system. And a lot of people enjoyed it. And I believe back then, I think it was kind of pricey, though, too. I can't remember what the price would be. I have to research the price on it. But I'm pretty sure it was expensive, that it wasn't fairly cheap. But if you want to collect for the Atari Lynx, check your local Facebook. They might have it on the Facebook. Uh, uh, it's kind of like an eBay. We'll call it the Facebook eBay or whatever. But check Facebook, check eBay, and check Amazon. Sometimes you might be able to find on Amazon for a very good price. Or Offer Up Arenas places Poshmark. Poshmark, believe it or not, Poshmark actually sells video games. People sell video games and systems and everything like that. You can look on there on Poshmark. I have a little account with them, and I've bought numerous stuff from them. So check out the one Xbox shirt you guys like with the green and has the Xbox sticking up here, the Series X. I got that from Poshmark off a seller on there, and they sold it for me for a really awesome price. That shirt. So check out Poshmark and different places like that if you want to start collecting retro handheld systems. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. This is another throwback of retro days with Sega Man and the retro gaming systems and games I have in my collection. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be back with my brother DJ Tuckmaster and the whole crew with the Xbox Power Podcast to give away a nice giveaway because of the past holidays. I wanted to do it, but things just came up and I got pretty busy. So I'm going to try to do this before the end of January for you guys and give you guys a treat of maybe a gift card or something like that. So hope you guys really enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys later. And I will be back actually with another retro video. I know a lot of my brothers like Unlimited Production and he bought and everybody liked when I do my retro videos, and I will be back for more. All right, guys, happy gaming, happy hunting and searching for retro games and systems, and I hope you get a good deal. I'm gonna say a little prayer for you on that because a lot of this stuff is very expensive today. I've had this stuff for years, and if you want to collect retro today, it's nearly almost impossible. But sometimes you'll run up and maybe find a gem out there at local thrift stores or flea markets or places like swap meets and different things like that. All right, guys, I'll see you guys later, and I'll be back with another podcast soon with all my brothers and the First Lady of Xbox, guys. Peace.